Wednesday.
Close both locks below the window. Close both blinds and turn away. Sometimes solutions aren't so simple. Sometimes goodbye's the only way. Oh, and the sun will set for you. And the sun will set for you. In the shadow of the day, we'll embrace the world in gray, and the sun will set for you. And cards and flowers on your window. Your friends all plead for you to stay. Oh, sometimes beginnings aren't so simple. Sometimes goodbye's the only way. Oh, and the sun will set for you. And the sun will set for you. In the shadow of the day, we'll embrace the world in gray, and the sun will set for you. In the shadow of the day, we'll embrace the world in gray, and the sun will set for you. And the sun will set for you.
The sun rose on you, for you are stardust. The sun will set for you, for to the dust of the earth you shall return. It's Ash Wednesday. Check one. Check one. It's Ash Wednesday. Welcome. I'm Ben. I'll be your host tonight. Welcome as well to the online community. If you'd like a more personal blessing after the service, I'm going to be connecting with some folks online for an ash blessing in lieu of ashes. You can get online with us. We're a world on the brink, and we've chosen to gather in the face of mortality to find ourselves better and more peaceful and free for it. Your presence makes us who we are, and it makes tonight's work infinitely precious and valuable, so welcome. Everyone who's engaged in a great undertaking depending on many factors for its success, knows how important it is to have a periodic stock taking. And Lent is this moment for spiritual stock taking, all the essentials for feeding and caring for our inner life, about which we talk so much and we really know so little. Lent invites us, though small and inconsiderable, still infinitely precious, that in all this cosmic mystery and toil and suffering, that we would find in these 40 days a chance to be present to ourselves, if no one else, and if possible, to someone else, maybe another person, and hopefully in being present to ourselves and maybe in being present to another person, hey guys, welcome, come on down, that we could find ourselves present also to God. Would somebody like to remind us how it is that we go as we go during the season of Lent, the community statement? Anybody want to come read for us? Dan will read. There is a mic up here on the couch. Thanks, Dan. As always, you can just hold the button down until it turns green. It's already on.
It's on.
It is on. Throw it to us.
We value highly the metaphor of journey. We're different people from different places and backgrounds, representing an intergenerational community, and we've traveled different paths. So we agree not to make assumptions about the person across from us, next to us, or in conversation with us. We challenge ourselves to be sensitive, knowing this community includes a diverse group of people, from lifelong followers of Jesus to people who just now are open to the idea that God might exist. We strive to avoid offense, ask good questions, articulate and explain our responses. We don't assume fluency in Bible, spirituality, or church language because we believe the message of Jesus is not for Christianity, but for humanity. So we do everything in the spirit of love and grace.
Thanks, Dan. As we enter into the season of Lent, a season of fasting, in the words of Pope Francis, we're invited to fast from hurting words and say kind words, fast from sadness and be filled with gratitude, fast from anger and be filled with patience, fast from pessimism and be filled with hope, fast from worries and have trust in God, fast from complaints, contemplate simplicity, fast from pressures, be instead prayerful, fast from bitterness, fill your hearts with joy, fast from selfishness and be compassionate, fast from grudges and be reconciled, fast from words, be silent, and listen. And so we're going to sound the singing bowl and ask you to join us for a few minutes of gently returning to our attention to the true self, to God, whether for you that is the very center or a sense of emptiness. Sink into that. Breathe and listen as if your senses are searching for something. Sort of that turning your nose to the sky, turning your ear towards the sound. Your mind will wander, that truck outside, the music at the light. Come back to your breath. We're going to talk a bunch more about breath in the next 20 minutes. Just keep coming back to your breath without judgment. Just notice it. May the silence allow us to contemplate what we want the ceremony to accomplish for us. Humility, spiritual rebirth, strength for what lies ahead. Relax, it's all right. The words of the teacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem, vapor, vapor, says the teacher. Vapor, meaningless, all is vapor. What do people gain from all the toil at which they toil under the sun? A generation goes and a generation comes, but the earth remains forever. The sun rises and the sun goes down and hurries to the place where it rises. The wind blows to the south and goes around to the north. Round and round goes the wind, and on its circuits the wind returns. All streams run to the sea, but the sea is not full. To the place where the streams flow, there they continue to flow. All things are wearisome, more than one can express. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, the ear filled with hearing. What has been is what will be, and what has been done is what will be done. There is nothing new under the sun. Is there a thing of which it is said, see, this is new? It has already been in the ages before us. The people of long ago are not remembered, nor will they be any remembrance of people yet to come by those who come after them. Vapor, hevel, the fleeting moment, the breath that we call life, is not a guarantee. We talk about that a lot around here. Nor is it a predictable amount of time. Until our 80s-ish, right? Because we don't want to be greedy. The journey, life in its entirety, from the cradle to the grave, from first breath until, I learned in hospice, until breath becomes air. The liturgical setting for Lent's 40 days provides a clear connection to this biblical symbolism of the number 40, which means a long time, a lifetime, a hard time. Time in the proximity of death, where life hangs in the balance. This is life. And the trick is that it includes death. Death is a part of life. Finitude is, after all, what makes life sweet. Lent comes each year to call us back to ourselves, to call us back to God, to reacquaint us with our lives underneath everything we've built, and to remind us of the permanence of impermanence, the certainty of our death, and the good news of our death. For Jesus says, unless a grain of wheat falls to the ground, it remains a single grain. But if it dies, it becomes many seeds. The message of this season, from Ash Wednesday to Good Friday to Easter Sunday, and everything in between, is that death is the engine of life. It's not the enemy. It's what is. Joseph Campbell says, all the gods, all the heavens, all the hells are within you. In Lent, we seek to reconnect with our gods, with the God of our understanding, with that which makes us alive, known in all the holy names of God. We seek to leave space, and it's hard in the world we're in, but we seek to leave space for a vision of heaven. Where countries aren't being invaded, an ideal, life abundantly, heaven on earth, as the prayer says, oneness, transcendence, unity, you know. So we want to leave space to envision that, to envision the good. We also want to tarry with our hells, the fear and the torment and the self-punishment that rob us of life, even as we convince ourselves that heartbeats and brain waves make us alive. In this season, we seek to create a liturgical near-death experience, to face death in all of these days, to remind ourselves of the frailty and the fragility of the life that is held together, these fascinating arrangements of breath and dust. And so in this season, as always, when we're trying to practice our spirituality, we aim to breathe not only as an autonomic physiological response, but instead to breathe on purpose,
to breathe deeply and slowly as we're able, to gasp for breath when we need to. And as we struggle to breathe, to realize in those moments that life is fleeting, to let that fear, to let that proximity to the end give us a zest for living. Remind us that we can't hold life. But right now, we have the gift. We're held by life. We can't hold on to it, but right now, we're held by life. Right now, in the face of death, we're choosing the mess and the pain and the brokenness of life because that's where love is. And at least the hope is, who knows, but the hope is that love is stronger than death. And so maybe we can allow this proximity to death and mortality to change us. Maybe a season of reflecting on our mortality can be a good thing. It can make us appreciate life, make us strive a bit, give some extraordinary focus. The things that the church has historically called formation, maybe it can change us by looking at it. And so Ash Wednesday, like the season that we're beginning, it aims to put us in front of death, to place us in the gravity of mortality. And to ask us in the presence of ashes, the symbol of our inevitable passing, in the face of Hevel, impermanence, Ash Wednesday asks us, by the gift and the promise harbored in the name of death, it asks us to live. Not only to exist, not only to survive until we eventually die, but to live. And it asks us to grow up to the truth that we can really only live when we come to terms with our death. Because when we do that, we become one with the God who dies. Trista Ann Marie says it like this: on Ash Wednesday, we gaze into the fragility of our existence. Daily, the blaze of mortality burns away and lessens the reserves of sacred breath we contain. Our yesterday is ash blowing in the wind, scattered for mere moments and lost forever. Ash Wednesday calls all of humanity to pause and to honor the value of each breath, a rhythmic song of taking in and releasing life. We are all ablaze with the holy fire of today, a speck in the circle of time. Man, I don't know what you guys came for, and I don't know if you're getting your money's worth, but if you hadn't heard, we are all ablaze with the holy fire of today. That's good. That's really, really good. Mortality, the closeness of our connection with death, gives us gifts like, and looking around the room, I know you guys know this, gifts like vulnerability and presence and authenticity and just a whole bunch of humility. Whole bunch of humility. Knowing that we're always drawing nearer to our last breath invites us now to die to our pride and our vanity and our ego and our expectations. Not when we die eventually, but to die to those things right now so that we can be here. So that we can be here because we're here. We might as well be here, present, fully alive. And this is what's at stake in coming face to face with death. This is what it tastes like. And in this community, we rehearse this story every week in the Eucharist. We remind ourselves of this particular story in which a body is separated from blood so that every week we can embrace death. And not only death, we can embrace depth rather than length as the mark of a good life. Quality rather than quantity as a mark of the sacred life. So that we can embody a story worthy of being retold. A story profound and simple. Here's my body. Here's my blood. And for such a long time, people have been getting together like this to gather, to tell the story, and to break the bread. Because we are now the body of God in the world. God in us, as us. We open by saying that we're stardust. We're not only made by God, we're made of God. We're the body of Christ in all its brokenness and beauty, in all of our bodies and our blood. The invitation to be present exactly as you are is extended to each of us in every moment. And so this table is open to us and to all people, and no one will ever be turned away. In a moment, we're going to invite you to come to the table. I'm going to invite those who would like to come as well for the imposition of ashes. There's no pressure either way. There's not a particular order. Take your time. Come to either when you're ready. The Christian tradition has adopted this custom of preparing for Jesus' death and resurrection by a season of mindfulness, self-reflection, and awareness. It's also been a time where the congregation names the need all people have to renew their courage in the face of death. I'll let that sink in this week. The need all people have to renew their courage in the face of death. Let's remember the people in Ukraine who are terrified for their lives. Let's hope and pray with them for courage in the face of very real death. This week in this world, now more than ever, we're invited tonight in both life and death to enter into the sacred observance of the season of Lent, to mark our intention, as we've said, to name death in our bodies, not as an enemy, but as a part of reality. We begin by embracing the sign of this mortal nature, the reminder of ashes. If you like this reminder imposed on your forehead, feel free to come forward, and I'll say to you this good news. Remember that you're dust, and to dust you will return. When you're ready, come and share with one another this meal, these ashes, and these words, bread for the journey, nourishment for the soul. Remember that you are dust, and to dust you shall return. Amen. Come when you're ready. Can you remember that you are dust, and to dust you shall return? Karen, remember that you're dust, and to dust you shall return.
Love of mine, someday you will die, and I'll be close behind. I'll follow you into the dark, the blinding light, the tunnels or gates of white, the Zion's clasped so tight, waiting for end of a spark. Heaven and hell decide that they both are satisfied. Illuminate their nose and their vacancy sign. If there is no one beside you when your soul embarks, I'll follow you into the dark. Catholic school, as vicious as Roman rule. I got my knuckles bruised by a lady in black. Held my tongue as she told me, son, fear is the heart of love. So I never went back. Heaven and hell decide that they both are satisfied. Illuminate where sleep is now. There's nothing to cry about. 'Cause we'll hold each other soon.
You to guide you. May it go behind you to encourage you, beside you to befriend you, above you to watch over you, beneath you to carry you, and in your hearts to bring you peace. Let's bring our hands together for our closing ritual, so that in all that we